Hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. Can I just start off by saying it is so fucking hot in here, and I literally turn my fan off to do these videos so that you guys don't hear the fan in the background, but it is killing me, okay? You're killing me, you're really killing me. And I just think if no one knows what that quote is, then that's fine, I'll just die of embarrassment. But you know what, one time, tangent, you know that TikTok sound that's like, when I was in the first grade, I was treated like a criminal, 'cause I killed somebody. I quoted that to a co-worker of mine once, and they had never heard of it, and they thought I was crazy. Out of context, if you don't know what that is, that sounds so weird, but it was a TikTok sound, and you know what? From there, I feel like I just ruined that connection right there, but you know, it's just the way of life, okay? You have to embarrass yourself, it's a rite of passage. Don't know why I needed to share that with all of you though, so now everybody knows. But yeah, anyways, so today's reading is really cool because we're gonna go over the energy of a situation. So you can ask anything. You could ask, what's the energy of this relationship? So maybe you've got a crush on someone and you want to know the vibes, you want to know the energy, what's kind of gonna come of it, what the situation will be, what it is, that sort of thing. Maybe you want to know the situation of, you want to know the energy of this thing that you got inspired by, this idea, this download you had, and you want to know if you pursue it, what's going to kind of be the outcome, what's the energy of it, you know, how will this go if you invested in it, if you went after it. It could literally be anything. So we're going to look into the energy of this situation, the vibes it's giving, the potential of this situation, what it could kind of become, what it is, that sort of thing. Then we're going to give you advice, and then we have the opportunity at the end of the reading for you to give it a little bit of personalization, put your own little spin on it, because we're going to ask any 3 yes or no questions, as we always do, so that way you can just make it a little bit more personal to you. So you could ask anything like, you know, at the end of the reading you could be like, oh, by the way, was this about my crush on so-and-so? And the card could say yes or no or whatever, and that can just help you know a little bit more from this reading, or get more. Or you could be like, so if I do follow this passion of mine, or this inspiration that I had to maybe write this song or write this book or whatever it is, you can then ask, you know, will that be fruitful, will it not? You know, any sort of questions like that, just for you to kind of get a little bit more info, if not everything has been covered in the reading. Without further ado, let's get into it. So we have 3 piles for you today, pile 1, 2 and 3. You can pick your pile in a few different ways. So the more traditional way is to pick the pile you feel most intuitively drawn to based on the energy of the pile. However, you can also pick based on the number of the pile, so that's 1, 2 and 3. Or based on the numbers in the timestamps in the description box below, or based on the zodiac signs in the description box below. So you can pick the zodiac sign that is yours, or maybe just one that you really like or that's resonating with you right now. Like maybe you're an Aries but you feel like you're having a Capricorn season, you know, or you're in your Capricorn era, so you might pick Capricorn, you know. It could be anything like that. Or you can pick based on the crystal. So we'll get into crystals now. So for pile 1 we have this conch shell heart. So it's been like turned into a heart. So this was the little swirly swirl that it had, and this was the back of it. For pile 2 we have one of my faves, this selenite half moon druzy. Let's show you the back. Go see the back side. Okay. And now for pile 3, the crystal we have is some spirit quartz. Basically it's amethyst with loads of little baby amethysts, but it's called spirit quartz. It's supposed to connect you more with like the spirits beyond, you know. It's supposed to build a little bit more connection there. So those are the piles that we have for you today. Feel free to pick one and then go into the description box below where you'll find the timestamp to your pile, and I'll meet you there. Bye! Okay, hello my pile ones, welcome to your reading. So you chose a really cute heart. I love it. And let's get into your sitch. Okay, we have the Empress in reverse. Love that. Sorry, that's such a cool picture as well. Let me put it up right. Just the vibes, the energy. It's just cool. Okay. Picture, illustration. Okay, so the energy of this situation. First of all, we have powerlessness. I'm seeing the vision of this reading already. Then we have rage in reverse. Nice, okay. Liking that it's in reverse. Then we have defeat in reverse. Then we have power. Ooh, okay. Very interesting. The kind of energy or vibe of what this thing is that you've asked about is a lot of like mixed signals. So it's about your outer energy versus your inner energy. What you're feeling on the inside versus what's going on the outside. From the outside, and this is more the truth of the situation, whereas your inside feelings are just your experience, but not necessarily the reality. But I think on the outside, you're giving independent baddie, okay, who has all the power, has all the cards, has won this situation, doesn't give a shit about anybody else, living their best life, is kind of like giving a big fuck you to everybody else and to harmony and community, which is why we've got this Empress in reverse. On the inside, it might not feel that way. It might feel like you kind of got out by the skin of your teeth of this situation and you're a little bit numb to it. Like there's not even anger, there's not even animosity, there's just nothingness where you haven't even processed everything yet. And so maybe you feel a little bit powerless or defeated in that sense, because it's like you've kind of just left at a moment where, or just barely survived the situation, but also left at literally the last possible minute before burnout. So it's like you feel quite heavy about it. And something quite interesting is that with that powerless card, this is a snaky, serpenty kind of person who seems quite aimless. And what's interesting is the Empress has this double snake tattoo going all over their body. So another sort of energy of this pile is a transitional period or a transitional phase. It could even be that you're in this phase where you're moving or shifting from the powerlessness feelings and that blank sort of no emotion feeling to this feeling of I fucking did that and I won, and feeling more powerful. But you're in that transition phase of shedding that old skin, healing from this, to then having this kind of new outlook or new perspective. But either way, to the outer world, from the outside looking in, it looks like you won this situation and you're very powerful. And you don't care what anybody thinks and you're very independent. On the inside, it might feel like you're still attached to this thing because you feel powerless, or like that took a lot out of you or a lot of energy from you. But you're transitioning into this realization of your reality. I think it's giving keeping yourself to yourself. It's giving lone wolf. It's giving chose to be alone, not made to be alone. It's giving heartless, but in a bad bitch way. Okay? Not in a like cruel bitch way. So that's the vibe of this situation. Whatever it is, this is the vibe. Let's see what this situation potentially was. And then we'll get into a little bit of advice. Actually, let me move these over here. So we have the Queen of Swords. And we also have the Ten of Swords. Oh, sorry, the Queen of Swords is in reverse. And I believe the Ten of Swords is too. What this situation might have been is potentially like a black sheep situation or a outcast kind of situation, and you have stood up for yourself and you've not necessarily burned the bridges because their negativity, their attitude, their energy burned the bridges, but you are the one standing up for yourself saying, I'm not going to be around this anymore, in that sense. So I'm definitely getting like black sheep of the family kind of thing, paving the way for others to see how they can get out and stand their own and, you know, be themselves. You were kind of the martyr of this situation. And also, you're very self-aware, but in a sense, because you can kind of magnify your woes by zooming in on them and not seeing things from a different point of view, it almost feels like these emotions take over, or this outlook takes over, when really this one should. It kind of clouds your judgment from the reality of the situation, because you can zoom into your woes quite a bit and really heavily feel them. So that's possibly the situation here, is you've sort of pulled yourself away from a community or group of people where maybe you didn't fit or were being ostracized or discriminated against, and in a sense you've acted like a martyr because you've shown people this is how you do it. Like, you kind of, yeah, I'm sacrificing community, but it wasn't a community that embraced me or was good for me anyway, so who gives a shit kind of thing. And you've shown people they don't need to be surrounded by people that don't like them or that they don't like, just to have people around them, that they can do it on their own kind of thing, if being on your own is the best option out of these scenarios. That's the vibe I'm getting. I also think in this situation, you've been very real. Like, you've been very real, very direct. You've stuck to your values, your morals. That's what you've prioritized here. So you won't put up with people who don't align with you, especially like politically and things like that. And you've really stood your own ground and carved your own path for you, your own future. But maybe you're worrying, were you too quick to cast judgment? Were you too quick to end things or make a decision on a situation? So it could be like you've got a little bit of self-doubt creeping in there. But I think with the Queen of Swords in reverse, there's no need to have that self-doubt. But it is good to reflect on situations, but I don't think the self-doubt is necessary. Okay. Now we're on to your advice. So we have the World card in reverse. Such a cool card. Oh my god. Okay, so many cards came out, so hold on. We've got the Queen of Pentacles. We've got the Knight of Wands in reverse. We have the Devil. Where can I pop these? Oh, we have the Sun. Yeah. And we have the Five of Coins. This is really interesting because there's so many layers to this. This isn't just advice, by the way. But I think you're feeling a little bit shut out with the Five of Pentacles there. Like, almost you've been locked out of the situation. Bear in mind, you were the one who walked away from it, but you feel shut out in the sense that, like, it started because of their negative opinions of you. So, of course, you had to walk away if you have any sort of self-respect. So it's kind of frustrating because you feel like you've almost missed out on having a community, even though they weren't the right community for you. So the advice here is, don't get hung up on losing what wasn't valuable to you to begin with. You know, this wasn't your riches, this wasn't your worth, this wasn't valuable to you. Yes, community in a sense might be valuable to you, but they weren't the right community. So there's no point shedding any tears over them. Lead with happiness and success. Lead with your energy, your amazing kind of independent, like, martyr energy, who takes no shit, is very grounded, sticks to their morals, sticks to their values, because that is what's going to draw in your community for you. With this Black Horse here, loads of success doing that. Loads of success. And also all these sunflowers are representing people being drawn to your sunshine energy. So don't be upset about losing this community because your people are waiting around the corner for you. Be comfortable with delays in that, okay? Because yes, you might want to rush there, you might want to get there really quickly, you might have this inner voice sort of telling you you're never going to get it because you don't have it now and you've not had it for a really long time or something like that. But with the World card, you will get there. This cycle will eventually complete itself, but be comfortable with delays in order to get what is valuable to you. You don't want to settle and go with, you know, a group of people who treat you like shit or don't like you just to say that you are, you know, you have your community or you found people, because those aren't your people. Be comfortable with delays because you're you'll find them when the time is right. Especially with that Knight of Wands over the World card, both in reverse. It's gonna feel frustrating to have these delays, but try to find comfort in it and peace in it, knowing that this cycle will complete. Because otherwise you would have just got the Knight of Wands on its own, but you got the World card with it, meaning it will complete itself. It's just a process. It just takes time, and you can't say, okay, I want a group of friends now, make that happen kind of thing. It comes when it comes. It happens organically. It's just one of those things. That's one thing of life that you can't necessarily kind of dictate. It happens organically, and they come in for you when you're ready and when they're ready. But trust in the process and get comfortable with this period of independence. Also, for now, focus on yourself, and also focus on finding what does bring you value in the meantime. Focus, this situation can be a really good eye-opener for you in terms of exactly what you're not looking for, so that it can help you figure out what it is you are looking for that would bring value to you. What can bring value to your life right now, in this moment, without this situation, without these people, this community that you've fallen out with? What can bring value to you? What makes you feel good? What makes life feel like it's worth living to you? It could be friends, community, which can come later, and you can maybe get specific about what it is you're looking for in that community, in that friendship. But what else? What is it that makes you feel good, that makes you feel fulfilled, that makes you feel powerful? Is it going in the park, being your bad bitch self, sitting there by yourself reading a book and being like, yep, that's right, I'm doing this? Is it investing in a hobby of yours? What brings value to your life right now? What can make you feel better now? So these are all your little nuggets of advice from your reading, because you've got an explosion of cards, so you've got an explosion of advice there. So hopefully that was easy to follow. Feel free to go back and pause the video, make notes on all the advice given if you need to kind of remember it and retain it. But if not, let's move on to your 3 yes or no questions to help you personalize this reading a little bit more. So go ahead and ask your first question now, and I'll try my best to answer it for you with these cards. Please don't be offended by anything they say. They can be temperamental and rude, okay? Here's your first answer. Without a doubt. Okay, they're on their best behavior today. So you have without a doubt for your first question. Go ahead and ask your second question now. I'll tell you later. Okay, you're not supposed to know the answer to that. So forget that question. If you want to ask a different question too, I'll answer it for you, but not that one. Or something else. You have another cryptic, what do you think? Okay, so that means you've got the answer to that one. You've got the answer there. Go ahead and ask question 3 now. Ooh, it is guaranteed. Nice. Okay, so that was your reading poll 1. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. It always sounds like I'm saying and unsubscribe, but I'm definitely not saying that. But yeah, subscribe, and if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, hello pile 2, so welcome to your reading. So you chose the really lovely Carnelian half moon heart with a bit of druzy in there. So let's get straight into your reading with the vibes of this situation. So we have the 4 of coins, love that. Ooh, connection. Okay, this is interesting because I just finished filming a cord cutting video, and it's about what's still connected to you, and one of those piles was about, feel free to check it out if you want, but one of the piles got the answer that they're connected to a destiny of creating a legacy of stability for themselves and their family, and you've got the 4 of coins, so again stability, creating and building that foundation, and then the connection, which was the cord in that reading. So really interesting. We also have, I didn't even check what this was, resentment in reverse. Oh, lovely. Yeah, okay. Oh, look at this one. Okay, so we've got scarcity in reverse. Nice. And we have control. Interesting. The vibes of this situation are interesting because you are connected to a sense of building your own life, building your own stability, being the source of your own abundance in life, which is hard. It's a hard thing to do. And so it can feel almost like you're being controlled, because in a sense it's like you're forced to create this legacy for yourself by what you're born into. You know, if you're not born into wealth, if you're born into quite a poor family, it's up to you to kind of make sure you make it in life, and you're immediately thrown into this rat race of racing towards stability and success in order to make sure you have what you need in order to survive. So it can feel like you're being pulled in several directions, that you'd need to be more than one person to do all the things you need to do in one day. It can feel like you're walking on fire. It can feel very intense. But, interestingly, there's no resentment. I think the energy of this is that you're potentially born into poverty. You don't hold any animosity towards your family for this because, of course, to some extent they can't control that. Like, yes, they made the decision to have you, which we could argue here day and night, right? That, you know, that was like, you know, an unfair choice or a fair choice. You know, we could go back and forth on that forever. But the point is, they did not choose for you to go into poverty because they, of course, didn't want to be in poverty either. It was just the cards they were dealt that were then dealt to you. So you don't hold any resentment towards it. You understand that, like, it's just the way of life, and they can't skip out on enjoying or living their life and, you know, doing certain things because they didn't have what they wanted or what they needed. And we can argue on the morality of that all day long, but the point is you don't hold any resentment towards that. But that does just mean that you live quite a chaotic or stressful or intense life that kind of leads you to feeling a little bit burnt out in order to achieve what is a modest stability. Because the four of any suits is a foundation. It's a solid, you know, four-legged table. But at the end of the day, it's like your basic necessities. It's not like this amazing, you know, King of Coins card. You've got what you need kind of thing. So it's almost like the idea of living paycheck to paycheck, having almost what you need, but maybe almost losing what you need at the same time. There's like a wobbly, unstable foundation here. But I keep looking at this snake in the control card because it's almost like the things you're reaching out to grasp onto for support that are breaking away, which are these kind of vines. There needs to be there's going to be a transformation there where eventually when you're reaching out for support, you hold on to something more substantial, or you no longer feel the need to hold out onto something. What else I'm noticing, now that I've just said that, I'm noticing this cord is also this like vine with all these leaves. So it's almost like you're reaching out to family, to connection, desperate for either it to be different or for them to support you in some kind of way that they can't really, or you're clinging on to them to kind of take care of you in a way that they are incapable of doing. And there's going to be a change here where there's no longer a need for that. There's just a change or a transformation of some kind with that snake on the end of the vine that is going to mean that you can do things more on your own, or that you don't need to reach out to them for support that you know they can't offer. Or the dynamic here is going to shift where maybe they reach out to you for support more so than anything. But there's definitely a shift coming. And that's the vibe that I'm getting here as well. There is a promise in your future of something more grand, but it's just like a little glimpse that you can kind of see in what you've made so far in life, but you don't have it yet. Okay, so let's try and see what this situation is first. So we have the Emperor in reverse. I think we had the Empress in reverse for bar one. Oh, there was a lot more cards than I wanted, but we will take them. So we have the Chariot, the Star, ooh, and the Six of Wands in reverse. This is so interesting because the Chariot card in this, she's protected by these two like Doberman dogs, and I feel a bit, I think those are supposed to be Doberman. Actually, I don't know what those are. They actually look more like those Scooby-Doo dogs, but anyway. She's protected by these two dogs. So the protection element of this Chariot card is much stronger than other elements of this Chariot card. So I think you're making slow progress towards your dreams. And the reason it's slow is because you're out of alignment with your true dream. So at the minute, because of this misalignment, this is why you can't get comfortable in this independent leadership role, because you're not aligning with what's right for you, which is exactly why you keep slipping into this state of being where you're asking for help or reaching back out to family and feeling incapable. This reaching out for that cord is you feeling like you can't do it, like you can't be this independent leader. And the reason you feel that way is because you're going after the wrong thing. So you've got the Six of Wands in reverse. So there's a little bit of like egotism here, and that can be not in a, I don't know how to explain it. So when you have like the ego, it's not about you being like egotistical or like vain or like vapid or whatever. No, it's you thinking that you need things that you don't need, because we're constantly told from the outside you need to, I don't know, be like a influencer or a billionaire or whatever in order to be successful in life or to be considered successful. And that's just not true. You can actually have a very comfortable life for yourself with the basics, but it's just about reaching that point, which is still a feat, but you don't have to go to this extreme to get everything you want. It's kind of like, yes, we all need money to survive. We all need like a roof over our heads, things like that. But do you need a mansion, or could you just have like a tiny home, you know? Like little things like that. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I know like all these things are like crazy expensive anyway, regardless. But it's just little things like that. I think your desire right now is out of alignment with your true dream, which is exactly why it doesn't feel like it fits. Why it's a little bit uncomfortable, and why there needs to be some sort of transition, because it's not fitting you right. You need to take a much slower journey towards your dreams rather than being like determined to get there as quick as possible. For you, it's more about slowing down, enjoying the process, enjoying the journey. And yeah, you might want to enjoy the journey or feel like you could enjoy that journey once you get there, because I feel the same way. I'm like, I can't enjoy nothing till I'm like at a place where I'm so much more stable than this. But you can enjoy the journey. I'm still figuring it out, so, you know, don't necessarily think I'm like, I've got all the answers here, but the cards are kind of saying this, that there needs to be a shift of what it is you're desiring in order to feel more comfortable and then put your actions towards that thing. Your like personal idea of what success means to you hasn't come from you. It's come from an external factor that you've internalized, but it's not yours. So you need to find out what your true idea of success is and block out the noise of everybody around you telling you it has to be in this format or look like this. What does it look like to you truly? If no one was around, if no one was in your head or speaking to you, or if you never saw like people's ideas of success on the internet, if you were like alone on an island, what would success look like to you? And go after that. That's the situation here. The situation is you're moving really slowly towards your dreams. Get comfortable with that, because until you realign with what it is you actually want and let go of the outer world's opinion of success, you won't get comfortable. You won't feel like this is a good feeling right now in the way that you're grinding and moving towards things, because it's not aligned with your true dream. And trust that you're really protected on this journey as well. Okay, so let's get into the advice. I know that was a little bit advicey, but that wasn't the advice part. So let's get into the advice. Ooh, the Empress. And the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Okay, so your advice is to start listening to your own inner voice, your own inner judgment, your own inner world, and use that as your compass to navigate you through life and to stay grounded during everything that life throws at you, because this will be the key to your good luck and your success in life. A secondary thing is to find connection with nature, with family, with friends, with what feels good to you, because the Empress is this really lovely, balanced, harmonious being in the middle of it all, who's connected to everything and is just this really lovely energy. But something about the Empress is that if you push yourself too hard to invest all your eggs into other people and thinking and worrying about other people, maybe other people's opinions, maybe worrying about your family, you're going to burn out, and then you're not going to have a positive impact on all of these things that you're connected to, because they suffer because when you suffer, because you're all connected. So there's a give and take here, and there's a balance. You have to make sure that you feel good and that you're treating yourself well and you're not burning out, not being pulled in so many directions. You're going after what it is you want, because prioritizing yourself and making sure you're okay and your sort of oxygen mask is on first means you are more readily available to help others when needed as well. So don't burn out trying to help others all day long. You've got to make some time for you as well. So that's your advice. Okay, so we're now on to the last part of the reading, poll 2, where you can ask any 3 yes or no questions about this reading, just to make it a little bit more personal to you. So have 3 questions ready. Go ahead and ask question 1 now, and I'll reveal the answer to you. Oh, we have I think so. Okay, go ahead and ask question 2 now. Not in a million years. Sorry, these cards can be so moody and temperamental. Please don't take anything it says personally. But here's your 3rd answer. Oh, we have, oh my god, yes. Okay, amazing. So that was your reading, poll 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, hello pile 3s, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Spirit Quartz, and these are your cards. So let's get into the energy of this situation. So we have the 3 of Wands in reverse. Oh, we also have love. We have resilience in reverse. We have fairness in reverse. We have grief in reverse. We have guilt in guilt. Yeah, that's guilt. I was like, is that guilt or quiet? That's guilt in reverse. And then we have release. I think you have a lot to give. The energy of this situation is that there's a lot more that could be given here that isn't being given. It could be about you, so it could be that you have a lot of love to give, but you're playing yourself small at the minute, maybe to avoid certain feelings that you don't want to feel. So it could be like you don't want to feel grief or guilt, and so you're not building up this kind of resilience to those feelings because you're pulling yourself out of experiencing. But you've got so much to give, and because of that it kind of feels like things are so unfair because you've got so much to give, but you're not really putting this energy anywhere, and it feels like the universe is against you when actually you're kind of making yourself small. Like you're getting yourself into this fetal position, and then all these feelings that you're not feeling because you're avoiding experiences are adding on to this situation. You're losing a part of your essence, a part of who you are. You need to release these feelings. These feelings are ready to be released, so that you can start to experience life and experience the things that you enjoy, the things you have a lot of love to give for, the things you're passionate about, and start to experience those uncomfy feelings of grief, of guilt, because they come in strides with the good things. The good and the bad all come together. So if you want to experience the good, yeah, it's going to come with these uncomfortable feelings too, but it will be worth it for you because you get to experience what these things are. Let's get an idea of what this situation is. Yeah, King of Cups. This is definitely about love. You've got the Love card and you've got the King of Cups. And you've got the 3 of coins. Wow, 3s are relevant here. Yeah, this situation is definitely that you've got a lot to give, because the King of Cups is very fulfilled, very, you know, their cup is the fullest. They have the most to give. They are the most well-rounded, emotionally mature, emotionally full person. But everything else moving around them is very chaotic. You know, this tumultuous sea behind them. So it's almost like you're stationary watching the world move around you and rush off without you, almost like you're watching everyone else experience all of these tumultuous, sticky feelings. But you don't feel those things, either because of your emotional maturity or because you've kind of pulled yourself out of the game a little bit, and so you don't get to experience these things. And maybe this is something you want to work on, especially with that 3 of coins. I think you want to work on this lack of movement. You want to get involved, you want to get in the game. Like, just because you see things in a really mature way, so you're like, okay, well then I'm not gonna do this or this because that's silly or whatever it is. That kind of outlook is almost holding you back, where it's almost like you've become so mature that you aren't willing to take risks or get involved in the kind of silly, stupid things in life that, like, everyone should just get involved in. Like, you're missing out almost in what it's like to be a messy human, you know, just someone who maybe doesn't always do the right things or say the right things, but at least they're living, you know, at least they said what was on their mind or got things off their chest or experienced things or, you know, tried and put effort in. It's almost like you're so mature that you're like, I'm not going to engage with these things at all. But then that's making you feel like life's unfair and it's moving past you and you've got so much to give and you're not being able to give it. And so you're ready to release this aspect of yourself that's kind of holding you back so that you can start to work on it and actually get involved and feel things rather than standing on the sidelines, casting judgment on others. Actually getting involved and seeing what it's like to experience those connections or these situations. It could be romantic situations, it could be friendships, it could be maybe arguments that need to be had that you're kind of stum on because you don't want to. You want to be the bigger person, but maybe, you know, it's required for you to kind of get involved and get a bit messy sometimes. So it's stuff like that, like you're ready to experience life and release this thing that's kind of holding you back. So we want some advice. Pile 3. So we have the 7 of coins, the 6 of swords. Anything else? The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Interesting. Again, I'm kind of getting this message of everything moving around you and you have to kind of get involved. So ironically, we're going to go against the grain here and say you need to lose your inner compass a little bit. You can still stay grounded because it's good to stay grounded in all the chaos. That is what the King of Cups is kind of about. So you can still stay grounded when you get your will moving, when you start experiencing things in life. But you need to let go of that compass that says, okay, the will needs to move here and now the will needs to go here. Release some of that control and be ready to experience the unexpected in life and move with the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the good and bad, and experience it and feel it because that's what you're here to do. And I think as well that 7 is really screaming for you to change, for there to be a change and upheaval, and the Wheel of Fortune is promising that there will be. So the advice is to move with the ebbs and flows and lose a little bit of that control. We also have the 7 of coins there. So there's something about you kind of needing to put the work in, needing to invest in something to get the results you're looking for, needing to put your all into something. So you kind of need to, whatever the situation is, you've got a lot to give it. Put it all in there. Put all your eggs in the basket. Like, give it everything you've got to give it a really good chance to get it off the ground. And this will get you the results you're looking for. This will get you what you need. There's a promise of the future you're looking for glimmering back at you in that coin there. It's just whether or not you're willing to take a chance and get lucky. It's like, what's coming to my mind is like flipping a coin, heads or tails. You don't know what you're going to get. It's a game of chance. But it makes you act and it makes you do what it is you truly want to do. So just go for it and see. And this is going to be a really transformative experience for you when you do put yourself out there, because we've got the snake there at the bottom of the Wheel of Fortune. when that wheel stops turning, you will not be the same person, and that is a really good thing. It's going to change you for the better. You're going to come away from this with so many more experiences because you were willing to put yourself out there and go after what it is you want and let go of that control that you have. Because of your really deep maturity, you're letting go of that control that is kind of keeping you locked out of this situation, keeping you chained. Okay, you can now ask any 3 yes or no questions pertaining to your reading to make it a little bit more personal for you, and I will try my best to answer those for you now. So go ahead and ask question 1 now. Weather permitting. So long as you put all the effort in and your ducks are in a row and the stars are aligned, then yes, but if not, then another time. Go ahead and ask question 2 now. Your answer is in the cards, so that basically means heed the messages of this reading, but we will pull you another card. We have I think so. Go ahead and ask question 3 now. We have maybe, and then we have don't bet on it. So nothing is permanent, so it's all dependent on certain actions. Okay, so that was your reading part 3. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot.